Just want to call the meeting to order for the council meeting for January 21st, 2025. Madam Clerk, may we have the roll call and posting of the agenda, please?
Councilwoman Basua. Here. Mayor MacArthur.
Here.
Councilmember Perallo.
Here.
Councilwoman Perez. Here. Councilwoman Rodriguez.
Present.
Councilman Starr. Mayor Pro Tem Teran.
Here.
The agenda for this meeting was posted in the kiosk at City Hall, the Oxnard Public Library, the city administrative offices, and on the city's website on Thursday, January the 9th, 2025.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Prior to closed session, we will take public comment on the closed session agenda. Can the city attorney provide a statement prior to the closed session?
Thank you, Mayor. The City Council will recess to a closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9, Subdivision D1, to confer with its attorneys. The matter being discussed is Jeff Mozine versus City of Oxnard.
Thank you, sir. Madam Clerk, do we have any speakers on this item for closed session?
And Mayor, we do not have any public speakers for closed session.
Okay, given that, we'll recess until 6 p.m. when we will begin the regular council meeting. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I want to call the meeting back to order for the Oxnard City Council for Tuesday, January 21, 2025. Madam Clerk, may we have the roll call and posting of the agenda? It's going to be followed too by the Pledge of Allegiance, which is going to be led by Karina Cortez. And then we'll follow with a moment of silence for the passing of our neighbor, our mayor from the city of Simi Valley. So I'll pass it over to you, Mayor Pro Tem, after
Thank you. Mayor MacArthur,
here.
Councilmember Perallo,
Here.
Councilwoman Perez,
Here.
Councilwoman Rodriguez,
Present.
Councilman Starr,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Teran,
Here.
Councilwoman Basua.
Here.
The agenda for the meeting was posted in the kiosk at City Hall, the Oxnard Public Library, the city administrative offices, and on the city's website on Thursday, January the 9th. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I want to pass it over to Mayor Pro Tem Teran to introduce the young lady who's going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you. Before we do that, Mayor, did we need any report out from closed session? Or a statement of whether or not we're
Yes,
getting
thank
one?
you. Thank you for reminding me of that. We just emerged from a closed session item with the city attorney. City attorney, do we have any announcements following the closed session?
Thank you, Mayor. There are no actions to report out of closed session this evening.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. So we have a wonderful student here with us this evening who's going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. And as the mayor had mentioned, followed by a moment of silence for Mayor Fred Thomas from the city of Simi Valley. And then Ms. Karina Cortez will tell us a little bit about her journey in the city of Oxnard. So I'll turn it over to Karina to lead us in the pledge.
Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, we can just take a moment of silence for our mayor from the city of Simi Valley, Mr. Fred Thomas, who tragically passed away overnight during his sleep. We just take a moment of silence for him. Thank you. All right, Karina, thank you. Thank you for being here with us.
Of course. Well, good evening, Council. My name is Karina Cortez. I am a South Oxnard resident and a senior attending Oxnard Middle College High School. I am also the ASB president for Oxnard Middle College and the Oxnard District Council president. First off, I wanted to thank you all for inviting me here to share my experiences at Oxnard Middle College. It is an honor to be able to represent my school. When I first applied to Oxnard Middle College, my parents had no clue to what it was, but with the little understanding they had, they encouraged me to apply. That was the best choice I could have ever made. Oxnard Middle College has motivated me to wish more for myself and seek higher education. Never in my wildest dreams would I have ever thought to be graduating not only from high school, but Oxnard College with 2 associate degrees and 62 college credits. Without my family's support, as well as that of my teachers and faculty, I could not have been able to accomplish this. The teachers and the faculty at Oxnard Middle College are extraordinary at making the students feel welcomed and supported. My teachers have never failed to review my homework, write me a letter of recommendation, prepare me for a job interview, or help me apply to jobs and scholarships. Being first generation, I've had to figure out many things on my own, but having such great teachers has truly helped. During the process of applying to universities, my teachers and faculty supported me through the entire process, staying after school and helping me gather my thoughts to write my personal insight essays, as well as answering every question I had and reviewing my applications. I am extremely grateful for the support system I have at Oxnard Middle College and appreciate all the help I have received from my teachers and faculty at my school. Oxnard Middle College has also inspired me to be more than a student, but also an asset to my community. Since my freshman year of high school, it has been a priority at our school to be involved in at least one community service event. My avid teacher, Dr. Kim Stevenson, introduced me to a citizenship fair in my community called Swap Me Justice. At this time, my father was in the process of becoming a United States citizen, and I thought it would be great, after helping him study, to help those who felt the same nerves as my father. I enjoyed my time there, and I was thrilled that I could be using sufficient skills of mine. I introduced people to services and communicated with them to see if they needed anything in particular. I continued going, and after 4 months, the lawyer that runs the event offered me a paid internship, and at the age of 14, I became the on-site coordinator of the event, and I have been doing it ever since. And since I realized I wanted to pursue a career in law, I have made it a priority to learn more about my career and connect with people who are already doing it. And thanks to my efforts, I have been able to be an intern with the Ventura County Public Defender's Office for 2 full summers, where I've been able to continue learning from skilled experts in this field. And I soon will be graduating and continuing my studies, which would be in political science, since my aspiration is to become a lawyer. I thank Oxnard Middle College for the opportunities I have received, the relationships I have made, and the lessons I have learned. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Can we give a round of applause?
Absolutely,
to
Karina,
Karina?
thank you.
Much appreciated for you being willing to come out this evening and help us and tell us a little bit about your journey. One of just so many young people who are doing amazing things in our city, and I believe your story absolutely more than deserving of being elevated and heard by so many. So an inspiration to many, a role model for many others. Thank you so much. And if you'd like to give a shout out to maybe your parents and Miss Hernandez and anyone else who's here with you.
Today joining me is my dad, Jose Angel Cortez, my mother, Elsa Garibay, and my sister and her boyfriend. And I also have my principal, Miss Hernandez.
That's wonderful.
Great. Thank you so much, Karina, and thank you to all of you.
Absolutely. Karina, we have something for you if you want to come up here. Your parents are welcome to come up as well. I printed out this certificate for you. Your parents must be so proud. I tell you, I mean, this is just another example of the talent we have here in this city, right? I'm looking across the aisle here. I see Vanessa, who's an attorney, certainly our own attorney, Stephen Fisher here. So future attorney right here. Yeah, absolutely, Karina. Here, this is for you. Let me just read this. Karina Cortez, Oxnard Middle College High School. Whereas the City Council of the City of Oxnard presents this certificate of achievement to Karina Cortez, 12th grade student, for her dedication and perseverance as a young and emerging leader in our Oxnard community. And we are so proud of you, Karina. Thank you. This is for you. Absolutely. Yeah, come on in, you guys. Come on, we'll take a photo. Absolutely. Get it, Lucy? I got it. Okay.
Great. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much. We're so proud of you.
Thank you.
Just come back. Come back right here. Right here.
Of course.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. My pleasure. Wonderful. Karina, thank you again for coming out, giving us a wonderful presentation and giving us an opportunity to learn more about you. And congratulations. Thank you. All right, the next item on the agenda is public comments. This is for items not on the agenda. A person at this time may address the legislative body only on matters not appearing on the agenda within the subject matter jurisdiction of the legislative body. Speaker requests shall be submitted as set forth on the first page of this agenda. Speakers are limited to 3 minutes. After 30 minutes, if all speakers have not had an opportunity to speak, the remaining speakers will be given an opportunity to speak prior to the adjournment of this meeting. The legislative body cannot enter into detailed discussion or take any action on any items presented during public comment. At this time, such items may be referred to the city manager, executive director, secretary for administrative action, or scheduled on a subsequent agenda for discussion. Persons wishing to speak on public hearing items should do so at this time of the hearing. We have several speakers, and we also had at least 2 that came in through email. But I will call up our first speaker, Mark Spellman, if he's here, and he's going to be followed by Mr. Lag Martinez. Hi, Mark.
Hi. Good evening, Mayor, City Council, City Manager, and esteemed guests. My name is Mark Spellman, and I'm here just as I serve as the treasurer and member of the Executive Board of the Downtown Oxnard Improvement Association. I have had the privilege of working in downtown Oxnard for the past 12 years with parcel and business owner Alfredo Plasencia. He's the founder of Laser Media, which he established here in the city 33 years ago. The connection has deepened my passion for the potential of this vibrant area. First, I want to warmly welcome our new council members and sincerely thank our incumbents for your dedication to our community. Your efforts are essential in shaping downtown Oxnard into a thriving place to live, work, and play. Downtown Oxnard has incredible promise with its unique culture, outstanding restaurants, and historic charm. However, inconsistent development and limited activities in some areas have left parts of downtown less inviting, creating opportunities for vagrancy and homelessness to take root. To address these challenges, I respectfully request your support in increasing security resources for the downtown area. Specifically, we need additional district safety patrols, upgraded public camera systems, and replacement of downed street lamps. Enhanced safety measures will protect our community while encouraging investment and activity, attracting visitors from across our great region. We invite you to attend our meetings and collaborate with us to revitalize downtown Oxnard. We're also eager to welcome a new city representative to our board. In the past, liaisons like former Housing Director Emilio Ramirez and Rosie Ornales from the Community Development Department provided invaluable input, and their participation was greatly appreciated. Together, we can transform downtown Oxnard into a destination that makes our city proud. Thank you for your time, your leadership, and commitment to the shared vision.
Thank you, Mr. Spellman, for those nice comments. Mr. Lang Martinez, and he's going to be followed by Lucy Cartagena.
Mayor, council members, my name is Lang Martinez. I'm a known homeless advocate here in Ventura County, Los Angeles, Santa Barbara. I want to thank you, Mayor, and I want to thank you, Aaron. On my social media, I put up the picture, and they heard what Aaron said about me, and I received a phone call from Dubai. And I've asked personally to speak on their, I guess in their program, UAE or something, and I had to fill out contracts and stuff like that, and that'll take place. And actually, when the call came in, it talked about what you said, and that I actually met with the mayor. So I just got done doing a thing with, what was it, HBO. I think I sent that to you. Yeah. And having that on there, and I received a call, and I was like, wow, I'm going to, Dubai. I mean, it's such an honor. You know, I made a promise to God that I would give everything to him, and I made that promise. I also made the promise to God that I would let the world know what God did for me, he could do for you. You know, Mayor, I want to talk about Proposition 1. There was a meeting the other day with the high officials, and it was funny that the safety was there, public safety was there, and mental health or behavioral health. And they were in this meeting, there was about 20, 25 people, and they were talking about Proposition 1. I was getting text messages how to talk to these people in regards to how we're going to deal with our homeless population when it comes to mental health and addiction. They had no idea or no clue what they were going to do or what the model was going to look like. And I'm receiving this, so I wasn't supposed to know about this, but I'm having people texting me, and I'm answering their questions about supportive housing, transitional housing, housing first. They had no clue. They actually, at the end of the meeting, were like, we don't know what this new model looks like. This is our behavioral health. This is our public safety. And when it comes to this, I think we need to go back to the beginning and look exactly where it started with Tim Flynn and how we got here today with Mercy House. I think we really need to look at that and take a deep dive. You know, when they talk about you, Aaron, they talk about what's your agenda. We need to ask what the city manager's agenda is. What's been his agenda? You know, my question would be to you to ask them, to him, is it possible to fire Mercy House? I mean, we do know Mercy House is Mercy House, Mercy Housing, Community Development Partners. We got so many things going on. But you know what? When it comes to the data, they've done nothing. The situation now, I wrote that article in regards to transparency and the funds allocated. We have more elderly on the streets today than we ever had. It's sad. The Project Root Key, whatever key, was supposed to take those individuals off the streets and help them. They're all over the place, Mayor. I look forward to seeing you again.
Thank you. Thank you, Lang, for your comments. Lucy Cartagena, she's going to be followed by Miss Angela Whitecomb. Hi, Lucy.
Good evening, Mayor.
evening.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and council members. My name is Lucy Cartagena. I'm happy to be here. And I just wanted to say shout out to this little girl because I go volunteer at Swap Meet Justice too. And I'm looking forward to seeing her on the dais soon. So she is awesome. I came to talk about sober living homes and what that looks like in the city of Oxnard. So I know we have something that came up, and we have a very questionable sober living home in Colonia that has to do with a manager that has tortured and murdered 2 children in the past and is now managing that sober living home in Colonia of all places. So the question is, sober living homes, they're awesome. I am a big advocate of the homelessness, you guys know that, the unhoused, people that come out of prison, they need to be housed, but they have to be housed with the safety of the community. So what does that look like? Can the city start working on a task force or town halls where we as community could come in and start really looking at what that looks like? I'm not talking about regulations in the city, I'm talking about what it looks like for the safety of the community, close to schools, close to everything. We know that there are already laws implemented, but what can we do better as a community? What can we do better to protect our children? What can we do better to protect anybody and them also from somebody that was hurt in the past and now wants to come and take vengeance? Now, I know I live in downtown, I'm across from the Freedom House. And I know you guys are familiar with Gabriel's house, can we put signage out there? I mean, what can we do? Let's start talking together. Let's start working together. I'm totally down for town halls. I'm totally down for anything that the city says. What does it look like for the community? How can we work collaboratively and work and make it safe for everybody? Because I honestly don't want to know that down the street from me is a murderer. I don't care if it was 30 years ago. I don't care. I just don't want to know somebody tortured a child and is living in my city, period. I don't care what part of the city, just period. And that's just me, but I'm pretty sure a lot of people feel like me. So let's talk about this and let's work on this. Let's not throw it by the wayside. Thank you.
Thank you, Lucy. Thank you. Angela Whitecomb, and she's going to be followed by Patricia Braga.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Angela Whitecomb. I am the chair for the Downtown Oxnard Improvement Association, DOYA, which Mr. Spellman came and spoke about. I just wanted to reiterate the need for the lighting to be fixed in the downtown area. It is fairly dark, and when you go and walk, it can be a little creepy. We have had for years downed street lights throughout the district that are in need of repair, and some of them are located in Plaza Park, and some of them are located along A and B streets. I'm not sure about the boulevard. I don't have them all memorized, but those I'm fairly familiar with. Requests have been put in. It's not something that we've ignored, but I think that a gentle nudge or some budgeting, I don't know what the holdup is, but it would be really nice to get a report back on where we are in that process. If they've been ordered, we'd like to come and celebrate that. So I just wanted to come in and say thank you, and also to let you know that we need more downtown security. I've met with the police department multiple times, and it takes a long time for a police officer to go through training and be fully vetted as an officer. So even if they hired 20 new police officers, we're not going to see them for at least a year in the downtown. So we would like the city to provide more security officers. They're going to be less expensive. They are going to need to have a bit more training than your average normal security guard, because we face a lot of diverse challenges in the downtown, and having somebody who can recognize a dangerous situation from something that's not as dangerous, and not to overreact, because a lot of times people are just struggling. We have a lot of issues with mental health and drug addiction and open drug use that if with the right environment can be curtailed. So I just would like to get your help and your support so that we can create the best environment for all of our community. So thank you for your time and thank you for your service.
Thank you, Ms. Wycombe. Thank you. Ms. Braga, followed by Ozzy Lopez.
Good evening, Mayor MacArthur, City Council members, and Oxnard residents. My name is Patty Braga. I'm the Executive Director of Ventura County Leadership Academy. VCLA is a locally based not-for-profit whose mission and purpose is to connect people and issues to strengthen our county. We do this by taking a diverse network of passionate leaders from the business, education, nonprofit, and public sectors. We immerse them in the critical issues shaping Ventura County. We hear from subject matter experts on water, housing, transportation, public safety, and a host of other subjects. We build relationships across industries and across the county. VCLA has a network of over 745 alumni, and we are currently in our 30th year. I am here to share with you our 22nd annual Journey to Leadership Award honorees and invite you to this luncheon hosted this year at Zachari Dunes at Mandalay Bay, right here in Oxnard. The Journey to Leadership Awards luncheon recognizes leaders in the business, education, nonprofit, and public sectors who have made an exceptional impact on our community. This year's honorees include our Business Leader of the Year is Edgar Terry, owner of Terry's Berries. Our Educational Leader of the Year is Dr. Leanne Nielsen, Provost at California Lutheran University. Our Nonprofit Leader of the Year is Darcy Taylor, the CEO of Habitat for Humanity of Ventura County. Our Public Sector Leader of the Year is Selena Zacharias, Commissioner of the Oxnard Harbor District at the Port of Hueneme. Our Alumni of the Year is Kevin Brannon, founder of Real Guppy Outdoors. He's a member of Cohort 20. And our Founders Award this year goes to Dr. Steve Elson, CEO Emeritus of Casa Pacifica. He was in VCLA's Class 1. Wow. I hope you can join us Thursday, April 24th for lunch in Oxnard as we celebrate these amazing honorees. Thank you.
Thank you. Ozzy and then Adam Vega.
Good evening, Mayor. I'm here personally to want to congratulate the new mayor and the city council. And I'm also part of DOYA. I've been serving DOYA for 20 years. I'm the chairman there for the Civil Sidewalk, which is in charge of cleaning and security. And I have nothing prepared like Mark, of course, but the fact is here, we're looking forward to work with the new administration and getting downtown vibrant and clean and having more people to come. So we look forward to working with all of you. So that's about it. And congratulations again.
Thank you, Ozzy, very much for coming in, speaking. Thank you. Adam Vega, and then he's going to be followed by Abel Velasquez.
Good evening, Mayor MacArthur, Mayor Pro Tem Turan, Council, City Manager Nguyen, and staff. I'd like to wish you all a very happy new year and congratulate those new to the council for your achievements thus far in the years to come. My name is Adam Vega, and I serve as the Community Outreach and Legislative Specialist at the Port of Hueneme. Some of you might know as the Oxnard Harbor District as well. I look forward to having those new to the council out to visit us sometime on the docks. And just want to thank those that have been in touch. We'll be coming out in the next month or so for doing so. Just like to remind everyone, lastly, our doors are always open to those on this council in the audience and watching at home. I'd like to invite you all to join us at our innovation lab known as FathomWorks for our first robotics competition. This will be happening next month. This year's theme is Varsity Sport for the Mind, and it combines the excitement of sports with challenges of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. We'll have 45 teams of talented high school students from all over the world challenged to design, build, and program robots to compete against other teams at our Port Regional. So our kickoff for this event is Saturday, March 1st at 8:30 a.m. The event is free and open to the public. It runs 2 weekends. The first being Friday, February 28th through Sunday, March 2nd, and the second weekend being Friday, March 7th through Sunday, March 9th. And again, look forward to having you all out the port, and if there's anything we can do for you, myself and the Happy team is always welcome to be in contact. So thank you again. Have a very good night.
Absolutely. Thank you, Adam. Looking forward to those tours. Thank you. Abel, and he's going to be followed by, or Vanessa Valdez is after Abel. Go ahead, Abel.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and members of City Council. My name is Abel Velasquez, and I'm using my 3 minutes to alert the community on how state leaders have placed the needs of criminals above the crime victims. In 1996, a man was convicted of torturing and murdering a 4-year-old girl in Kern County. Despite these horrendous crimes, he was paroled in 2023 after serving only 27 years in prison. This is troubling for many reasons. The parole of this man was just another sympathy of sickness that affected our state leaders. Approximately 15 years ago, our elected officials declared war on crime victims, choosing to cuddle the needs of criminals instead of crime victims. Today, a number record of rapists, child molesters, and murderers are being released, burdening the law-abiding citizens. A man who tortured and killed a 4-year-old girl is now free, and we're still volunteering in Oxnard. I urge the City Council to demand answers to state officials. Why is this child murderer paroled, and why here in Oxnard? He belongs in prison, not amongst the citizens of the city. Justice for this young victim must be served, since she didn't have a voice to say anything yet. Unfortunately, stuff like this happens all the time in the state, but we must take priority now. This is very unfortunate for a lot of reasons, and the fact that he lives near a school too is very unfortunate. I want to stand up for these victims since they don't have a voice, and they were too young to have a voice. And no person who kills a child should be released, ever. This is the worst crime somebody could commit, and God willing, we get this situated as soon as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Abel. Ms. Vanessa Valdez, and she's followed by Maria Elena Saldana.
Good evening, Mayor, Council members. So my name is Vanessa Valdez. I'm an Oxnard citizen, Oxnard native, an attorney, and a mother, and an activist. And so today, I'm here more to make an announcement than anything, but I'd like my announcement to be in Spanish just because there is a significant part of our community that's missing, and we can expect to be absent in these next meetings while the Trump administration is in place, and that's our immigrant community. They are currently under unprecedented fear of being detained by ICE or having any kind of interaction with them, so they are missing work, very scared, concerned, and seeking help and assistance. And so I have a message for all the immigrants in our community, and I'm hoping that all of you will also meet with me later this week so that you can help me spread the message. Mi nombre es Vanessa Valdez. Yo soy una abogada y actual presidente de la Asociación de Abogados Latinos del Condado de Ventura. En nombre de nuestros miembros, quiero enviar un mensaje a nuestra comunidad de inmigrantes. No están solos. Sabemos que muchos de ustedes viven con el temor de ser detenidos por ICE, y ese temor es real. Por eso nos estamos uniendo, organizando una coalición de organizaciones comunitarias en todo el condado que brindarán servicios educativos y asesoramiento legal para proteger sus derechos. Estamos comprometidos a trabajar con socios locales para construir un sistema de respuesta rápida. Tenemos un número de teléfono ya en donde se pueden comunicar con nosotros. Es un No Migra Hotline, en donde pueden recibir más información y lo estamos empezando a compartir. El número para comunicarse con nosotros es el área 805, busco mi otro volante, 296-1119. Ese es el número que vamos a empezar a compartir con la comunidad de inmigrantes que necesiten más ayuda y más educación. Por último, quiero compartir que vamos a empezar a tener talleres para planear y preparar contra la migra y hacer llegar esta información a nuestros miembros. Hay una reunión el miércoles, mañana en Ventura, Y también tenemos una programada el 26 de enero en Oxnard Boulevard. Para más información, por favor, búsquenos en las redes sociales. El nombre de la coalición es bcdefense.org. Gracias.
Thank you, Vanessa. Ms. Saldaña, and then Marilena is going to be followed by Mr. Greg Runyon. Hi, Marilena.
Good evening, Mayor MacArthur and Mayor Pro Tem Gabe Teran, and to the respective council members, Ms. Basua, Mr. Starr, Ms. Rodriguez, and Micaela Perez, and Mr. Perello. I decided to come here after viewing via the video on Google regarding the last two city council meetings. And many people that come to speak have careers, are professionals, are people that everyday life represents this city and this county. And I am a little bit disturbed because of some of the behaviors of the city council. And I strongly feel that each and every one of you are professionals and should act accordingly. Many of us are not always at these meetings, but we utilize access to the meetings. And I know that also in the audience at times, and also via the media or Google or however it is that individuals view the city council meetings, they also have their families, their children, their young adults. And I've always have felt that anyone that represents a city, a state, a county, any official in public office should act accordingly, because for many of us, you are role models for the community. So please keep that in mind when you are discussing your issues. And I respect people's opinions, and this is on a personal nature. If my opinion differs from each and every one of you, I may not agree, but I respect it. And I will speak in a way that's respectful, not condescending, but granting people the respect that they merit. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Saldaña. And then Lorenzo Castillo, you will follow Greg Runyon.
Mayor MacArthur, Mayor Pro Tem, council members. I want to echo the comments of that fine woman right there that you guys have an opportunity to press reset. And if you don't, everything that's being talked about here, right? And I'm going to say something that's not going to be popular, but I guarantee you it's right. We are up in arms about somebody who committed a horrific crime, and it is horrific, right? And I can see where we need to try to figure out some ordinances about how to do things. These are state issues. They need to be handled at a state level. And I hope we organize to do some of that. You can send a message. But in the same way that we protect our children, you all are examples. And when you eviscerate people with your words and your attitudes, for you all to think that kids don't notice, you're hurting those kids. Is it to the extent of the other folks? No. But you're raising your kids to be people who think they can say whatever they want because they have a big checkbook. They can say whatever they want because they have a political seat. They can say whatever they want. And you know what? Now I'm going to put this hat on. I'm going to take my pastor hat off. When you're in prison, nobody wants to know you're a child killer because you get killed. And I was a violent felon. I wasn't arrested for violent felonies, but I was very violent. So if you ban all the violent felons out there, you're going to ban a lot of people who've really transformed and changed their life. The Bible says that you should not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. You try to do things better. You work at being better. You work hard. I've worked just as hard as some of you, if not harder, to try to renew my life, to be better. I'm not talking about somebody who did something horrific. I'm talking about the rest of us. Mayor MacArthur was a cop. I guarantee you, when he saw somebody that he arrested turn their life around, it gave him joy, because that's why you do what you do. You are examples. How you handle yourself matters. And just because you don't like somebody and you tear them down, I get why this individual, I understand all that. But for God's sake, think about all the other people that you do the same thing with your words and your actions, and you think it's okay. It's not. You guys are living examples, as are all of us. We are living examples to the next generation. So, Runyon rule, I said it last time, Runyon rule, right? Just be kind. Pray for your enemies. Don't persecute the ones who persecute you. Help them be better, because you all can do it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Runyon. We also have two. I'm sorry, Mr. Castillo, I almost forgot about you. Yeah. No. Yes, yeah.
Good evening.
Stick to your original plan.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, council members, mayor. Congratulations to all the new coming in council members, and congratulations to the ones that are still here. I'm here as part of the DOYA. I'm a volunteer board member, and I'm here to invite every single one of you, because we represent the downtown business owners. And we are here helping the city of Oxnard to improve the way the downtown looks, and that's our main goal. We talk about, making the city of Oxnard an attractive place for businesses, and we're not doing that. And I say we're not doing that because I'm a part of the community. And being here is because I really want the city to change. I think that's why we had some changes, and I would really like to see our downtown improve, the whole city of Oxnard improve. I know there's a lot of complaints, but I'm not going to get into that. I'm just here supporting our organization, which is a nonprofit, the DOYA. And I want to invite every single one of you to come to our meetings so you can see what we do. And we need the city's support on a lot of the broken things that need to be fixed, a lot of things that need to be taken care of, especially with security. We need more security in downtown, and I think we've been talking about, maybe we're talking to the wrong people because we haven't been heard. We need a lot of security here in downtown, and all of you know why. And I don't want to get into a lot of details, but I'm really here to support the downtown and ask for every single one of you to come and support us with the things that we need to make downtown better. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Castillo. We have one more speaker just came in, Jason McComb.
Good evening. My name is Jason McComb. I want to speak about the halfway house that is opening up. First off, I'd like to say I'm a recovering addict. I got 16 years clean. I'm also have a family member who was murdered years ago, and their crime was solved after 33 years. My aunt was raped and beaten to death in 1991 on my birthday. I have very strong feelings about pedophiles and child molesters and people of those natures. And a father of 3, I don't think those people should ever see the light of day, personally. Any person who has kids, we know those type of people can't be rehabilitated. And a person who wants to open that home up did a horrific crime to a child. That type of person should not be fit for society, especially even to open doors for a halfway house for someone that already has 5 offenders there, not so far from a school. I'm pretty sure I speak on everybody who are parents here don't want to see those type of people around kids or that far away from a school. I don't know if any of y'all ever had a horrific crime in your family where someone was murdered and they have a horrific crime where they were beaten to death and raped and beaten to death. Then if you haven't, then you'd want to understand how that would make your family and tear them apart. And being a father, nobody wants to see anybody like that around kids. No excuse for it. And I hope you guys will weigh and understand. You guys will make the decision not to allow that to happen. Think if it was your children in that school. Think how you would feel knowing that person could snap that kid away, not knowing how close they are to that school. Think about that. Think really in your soul what you would feel if it was your daughter, your son, your granddaughter, or grandson. None of us wants to have that feeling. So if you want to make the right decision, Mayor and Councilwomen and men, think about what the children need. Think what we need. Think of what the city of Oxnard needs. Thank you.
Thank you. I think that's the last of our public speakers. We'll go now, at least here present. We have some that are waiting in the queue. Madam Clerk, you want to call one at a time?
Yes, we're going to start with caller phone number ending in 7699. Please press *6 to unmute. Please state your name, and you have 3 minutes. Oops. Caller ending in 7699, please start. You have 3 minutes starting now.
Thank you and good evening. My apologies, I don't have an agenda in front of me. I wanted to introduce myself. My name is Kelly Lank, and I am calling in regards to a flyer that I've seen circulating on social media. Yes, Dean Lutz is my brother. I am his sister, and I am calling to help ease some of the fears and concerns regarding this man. Unfortunately, this horrific accident happened, yes, 30 years ago. Yes, he did his time. Yes, he's been rehabilitated and completed all necessary programs that were required of him, and meeting parole's guidelines as well. I can tell you I was there that night. I am the one who called 911. I can also tell you that my brother wasn't there that night. Unfortunately, things get skewed in the media, and a plea deal was reached to protect the mother, who is his co-defendant. And in order for her to get out earlier, my brother took the larger sentence. I 100% am proud of my brother. I support my brother and the growth that he's achieved. Yes, I have my children, my grandchildren, my nieces and nephews around him. There is zero fears. He has worked hard, and he has been in your community for almost a year now. And with the hard work and dedication that he showed at this helm, he was offered a position to help rehabilitate others, which you guys as a community should be proud of. As a governing board, council board, I don't believe that it is proper or appropriate to insinuate a riot, to insinuate panic and fear in your constituents. You should be educating and informing them, yes, but to promote fear, to promote bullying, when yes, as another participant said, you're showing children that it's okay to cyberbully. You're showing children that it's okay to stalk. This is not okay. People have been following my brother around taking pictures. That is not okay. Yes, you're entitled to take pictures of anything you see in public with your naked eye, but to follow someone around, that's harassment and that's stalking. Like I said, there's a lot of details and unfortunately, I can't go into everything, but I believe it is the council board's job to educate and to calm fears, not to incite them, not to say it's okay to bully and harass. And so I would hope that you would look at your policies and procedures. I have served on a board. I have been a board president. I've worked in the medical field for over 40 years. I've also worked with attorneys as an advocate. There's a line, and we have to set an example of what is acceptable and not acceptable. When someone has paid their debt, has paid their dues, has done their time, and been deemed fit to be released back into society. We should embrace that and use these individuals to help educate children and
Thank
other
you.
people on what not to do. Thank you.
Thank you for your phone call. Madam Clerk, we'll go to the next caller.
How do I mute this?
Thank you. We're going to move on to caller ending in 9809. Please press star 6 to unmute. Please state your name, and you have 3 minutes starting now. Caller ending in, whoops, I apologize.
Hi, good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, District Representatives. I'm calling because to follow up on those comments, I am not mad at recovering addicts. They have the right to recover and live in peace. I am not mad at people who have done their time. I am mad at sex offenders living so close to our homes and schools. I'm mad at these businesses that are buying homes and using them to gain financially. Are they being taxed as a business? What's regulating these homes from popping everywhere in our city? Please help the hardworking families of Oxnard keep our children safe. We don't need these children that walk home to their school to be harassed or placed in danger. Please help us, council members.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'll go to the next caller.
Okay, we're going to move on to caller ending in 4018. You have, please state your name, and you have 3 minutes starting now.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear just fine. Go ahead.
Okay, good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, City Council, staff, and the public. My name is Doug Portello. I'm a 38-year resident of Oxnard. I'm the founder of Oxnard Grassroots Volunteers. For about 5 years, I have led a volunteer effort to restore the public space landscaping around my neighborhood and extended that out to many other parts of Oxnard to clean up Oxnard. I've had efforts out at Halico, at the encampment at 5th and Harbor, parks, and many other places. I sent an email to the City Council recently suggesting that I might help the city even more by taking the green waste, the palm fronds and branches when I go around and clean up the perimeter of my neighborhood to the dump. So I was met with some interesting reasons why that can't work. And so I wasn't surprised, but what I'd like to suggest is, you know, when you have a civically engaged volunteer who's pouring tremendous effort into making Oxnard better, let's try to work together to make Oxnard better and find reasons why we can do things. So I know that, you know, I've been a harsh critic of Oxnard, and I think that's my right as a taxpayer to question how my tax dollars are spent. But not only have I found criticism, but I've also found opportunities in which I can personally take responsibility and help make Oxnard better. I think we can do a much better job in increasing volunteerism. I think that activates the community to be agents of positive change. And I think it also takes a lot of stress off of our budget and our staff, that they can focus their energies on other areas where we as volunteers can help pick up the slack in some of the things that aren't being done well or not being done at all. I've also been a homeless advocate for 30 years, and I've reached out to the homeless. It's an issue that's close to my heart. I have a lot of good ideas and suggestions that I'd like to share with those that might be interested, our elected officials, staff members, and others, in which we might help mitigate the problem of homelessness. Most recently, I've been involved in a cleanup of the canal out near Ormond Beach, so I've organized volunteers to go out there. And I think there's a way that we can better partner with each other to get a lot of positive things done for Oxnard, working with not only residents, but with businesses and the local government. I think once we have, mutual input and shared responsibility, that we can gain the mutual benefit. Another area that I've been working on is helping the youth. Now, my outreach and homelessness, I have a 12-year-old boy that I'm sponsoring to martial arts and taekwondo. He's really faced a lot of challenges, but he's doing quite well. And there's ways that we can help our
Mr. Patel, I don't know if you can hear us, but I think you're out of time.
If you're interested,
Yeah, Mr. Patel, I think you're out of time. Thank you so much for your phone call and sharing your comments with us. We'll go to the next caller.
Sorry, Mayor.
that's
We are
okay.
going to move on to caller ending in 3259. Please press star 6 to unmute. Please state your name, and you have 3 minutes starting now. Once again, caller ending in 4018. Oops. I'm sorry, 3259. Please unmute. Mayor, it looks like he's not connecting with us. We do have an additional speaker here in person, Roy Ford, if we want to start.
Sure.
And then we'll come back to this caller.
Okay.
Roy Ford?
Good evening, Mayor.
Good evening, sir.
Council. My name is Ray Ford. I'm the founder and director of First Phase Incorporated. Our company is contracted with the state of California to provide housing for parolees coming from prison. So prison vans pull up to our house, drop off parolees. And our program is designed to help these men and women transition successfully back into the community. The uproar that I'm hearing at this meeting tonight is about a sober living home that I set up. And the manager that I hired to manage that sober living home. The home, we have a stop house. We call it a stop house. This is a contracted house. And the men and women that come from prison, a lot of them been in prison 15, 20, 30 years. They don't know how to use cell phones. They don't know how to use ATM machines. They don't have credit. We help them to establish these things. We help them with these life skills. Once they go through our program and they graduate, some of them don't have places to go. Now, a lot of these guys, if they didn't have these type of programs and they've served their time, they did all these years and they've been paroled back to the community. The California Department of Corrections, the parole board, and the governor have released them back into society. We are in the trenches doing the grunt work. We are the ones that are dealing with these individuals, because if it wasn't for us, they would be back in the community, robbing bars and stealing cars and doing the things that they did before they went to prison. So we have a tight rein on these individuals. The house that we just purchased and set up is a house so that when they graduate from our STOP program, they can transition into another sober living home so that they can save more money, so that they can transition successfully back into the community. Home prices, apartment prices are high in California. They don't have the time to save the money that they need to go back into their own housing. We help them. We are here to help the community. We've been doing this for 12 years. We have 6 houses in LA through the STOP program, and we have a house out here in Oxnard. I'm originally from LA, and I'm formerly incarcerated myself. So who better than someone like me who served 31 years to help these guys to transition successfully back into the community? And that's what I do. And that's what my wife and I have been doing for the last 12 years. I paroled in 2012, and everything that we've accomplished has been since then. And our life's work is based on helping these men and women to transition back into society. We have a fraternity of formerly incarcerated, justly impacted individuals who need the services that we provide. And whether you like it or not, 95% of individuals will be paroled back into your community. So somebody needs to do the work.
Thank you for your time. Thank you. Sorry, we're out of time. We'll go to Philip Molina.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, I'm Philip Molina, the elected City Treasurer for City of Oxnard, and I'm getting calls regularly from people saying they thought the court case was over. Am I doing my job? And I have to tell them no. I'd like to read something to you from the California Second Court of Appeal concerning the case of the City of Oxnard against me. The government code calls for an elected treasurer. Molina was duly elected. The ordinances as a whole have the intent and effect of removing Molina from his office. For this reason, we reverse. All the challenged ordinances are void. Molina's duties as treasurer are restored. Molina's salary is restored to its previous compensation, including restoration of compensation withheld pending resolution of this case. I'd like to ask the council to consider, do you want to follow the law or do you want to follow an individual? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Molina. Yes, Madam Clerk.
Hi, Mayor. We're going to try caller ending in 3259. Please press *6 to unmute, state your name, and you have 3 minutes starting now. Caller ending in 3259, if you can press *6. Mayor, it appears that the caller is not tuned in. And that concludes our speakers, both virtually and in person.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes,
If
Councilman
I could I ask the city clerk to announce what the process is to raise your hand to speak? Because some of these people may be calling for the first time and may not realize how it works.
Sure, Councilman Starr. So anybody who is joining us virtually, you can press *9 to raise your hand to request to speak. And we have a caller with an iPad number, or iPad, let's see. We'll allow her to speak starting now.
Okay, go ahead.
Hello? Okay, we're going to try the person who has the iPad.
Mayor?
Hello?
Yes, Councilmember. I'm sorry. I think we got her now.
Go ahead. Please state your name and start.
Hi, I had actually registered to call in. My last number, my phone number was 6677. My name is Helena Marino. I hope you can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. My name is Helena Marino, and I am commenting about the recent fires that we had at the riverbed. I'm a homeowner at the Island Villas around River Ridge Golf Course, and I have a number of family members who are homeowners at Victoria Estates. Now, a week ago last Sunday, after watching the devastation on the news at Palisades and Altadena, it had me thinking about the brush fire danger that we have right next door. And so on Sunday before the auto fire, I made a post on Nextdoor commenting on the fact that it appeared that the dried brush along the riverbed had not been cleared. And I was wondering why that was the case, given the November fires in Camarillo just across the hill. So I made a post on Nextdoor commenting about that and wondering why it was that our city leaders were not taking any action to clear that. And I received a number of responses, and one of the other callers suggested I email you. And so I emailed Mr. Parello, on Sunday night, and the auto fire broke out Monday afternoon. He did respond Monday morning and explained that the jurisdiction of cleanup of the riverbed was the Ventura Board of Supervisors, and that he said he would share my concerns with you and with the Board of Supervisors. So the reason I'm calling tonight is to make sure that this does not get lost. We're already a week past the fire, and I'm afraid that everyone's going to think that the danger is not there anymore. We are very lucky that we were able to wake up in our own beds the next morning. I had to evacuate my mom Monday night, and it was frightening. And I just want my neighbors to know that City Council is working with the Board of Supervisors and whatever state agencies have an interest in the environmental factors involved in cleaning up that riverbed and making sure we don't have to worry about fires. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for calling in. Thank you. Madam Clerk, you want to try another caller?
Yes, we will attempt to connect a caller ending in 3259 who has their hand raised. So caller ending in 3259, please press *6 to unmute. And starting now, you can speak. No luck. Again, anybody joining us virtually, if you'd like to speak, press *9 to raise your hand to speak. Personas que estén en la línea con nosotros y que quieran hablar, opriman el asterisco y el 9 y levanten su mano para que puedan hablar. Mayor, that concludes our speakers, both virtually and in person.
Councilmember Perrella, did you have a comment? No, okay. There's two that wrote in comments. We have them online, but I'll read them out at their request that they be read out loud. One email that we received was from Ms. Heather Schmidt. Dear Mayor and council members, I'm writing today is this prior weekend. Councilmember Starr was distributing flyers in my neighborhood in the East Village relative to a man named Dean Joseph Lutz, allegedly living and working at a sober living facility in the neighborhood. Mr. Starr's request is that the constituents demand the city create a policy barring such individuals previously convicted for violent crimes from operating such facilities in the city. The first issue I want to highlight is that Councilman Starr's flyer lacks context, relevant details, and specificity that myself and many others would like before making such demands of the city. It failed to offer any types of evidence or details of the crime and further left out any details about the conditions and parameters around the individual's parole. Why was this man granted parole? What measures did the county and city take to ensure he would not provide a danger to the community? What are the conditions of his parole? Is he violating those conditions? We cannot and should not make policies without evidence to back them, and this flyer provides none. The second is that the individual's alleged residential and occupational address was disclosed on the flyer. While I understand and agree about concerns given the lack of information around this man's history and situation, including the proximity to the school, I feel it grossly inappropriate and bordering on unethical to hand out the address of this facility where people are trying to rehabilitate, maintain sobriety, and re-enter society are now open to harassment or worse. Doxing or worse. Finally, this issue is complex for the obvious reason that if we believe in our justice system, we have to trust that there is potential for rehabilitation, penance, and even redemption for the most heinous of crimes. As a policy consultant myself, I have come across felons over the years that have come out of prison fully accepting of their accountability and the debt they owe to society. Many of them work in environments such as that Councilman Starr is asking us to stop them from working in across our city as service to the community. I don't know that there is evidence that this will help anything. In fact, I believe there is a great likelihood that it will cause more harm. I respect and understand the concerns of Councilman Starr and whomever else in the community has raised this issue, and certainly leaves a lot of concerns and questions for me as well. I hope we will get those answers and consider the policy recommendation in the context of the details rather than making ordinances and policies devoid of evidence. Best regards, Heather Schmidt. And then we have one additional email that came in. This is from Carol Mechanic to the city clerk and asked it to be read out loud. To whom it may concern, this was dated January 2025. This letter is in support of Mr. Dean Joseph Lutz, who I have known for over 1 year on a professional and now on a personal relationship. I initially met Mr. Lutz after he served a lengthy prison sentence and was housed at the first phase men's transitional home in Oxnard, California. I have worked at the residence for 2.5 years as their group facilitator under the New Hope program. During the 2-hour group, that is 3 nights weekly, we cover varied topics to further assist the men with their transition back into the community. Like many other participants, Mr. Lutz spent a significant time working on his issues while incarcerated and brought a lot of leadership and mentoring within the group process. Mr. Lutz actually facilitated a beloved weekly group with his peers. Perhaps the most poignant memory I will cherish occurred during Mr. Lutz's graduation from first phase. Mr. Lutz shared his entire life story, including the circumstances of his offense, while expressing sincere remorse for his participation. I have worked in the criminal justice system field for more than 25 years as a deputy probation officer. During my career as a public servant, I have held positions in supervision of high-risk juvenile and adult offenders, including being a founding member of the Sexual Assault Felony Enforcement SAFE Task Force, a court officer, officer of the day, training officer, and investigator. I have interviewed and supervised thousands of violent offenders. I know that everyone has a chronicle of their life. Mr. Lutz took full responsibility for a crime that he was partially responsible for, so the other child would not lose her mother. He spent a significant amount of time not only paying his debt to society, but more so working on himself to be a better human being. Mr. Lutz has remained clean, sober since the incident, has taken accountability for his transgressions, is a mentor and positive role model for the residents he is currently manager for. If you need additional information on my colleague and friend, Dean Joseph Lutz, please do not hesitate to contact me. Sincerely, Carol Mechanic, retired deputy probation officer. Madam Clerk, just to confirm, that is the last of our public speakers.
That is correct.
Okay, thank you to those who spoke. The next item on the agenda. I'm sorry, I think we have one more that it just came in. I apologize. Jessica Pando? Yeah. I apologize, I almost skipped you.
It's okay.
Forgive me for that, yeah.
Yeah, my name is Jessica Pando, a neighbor, extremely close to this new sober living house, which when I heard about it, I didn't have any issue until I heard about who is managing this sober living house. And I just want to let you know more about this street. The neighbors there, we know each other, and I know there are a lot of kids on that street, even myself. I have a 5-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 13-year-old. So I'm very worried, and I understand that probably this person wants to change, and I'm up for people that committed crimes and they want to change, but at the same time, because of the safety of my kids and the kids on the street, I think that this is not the place for this person. We're 2 blocks away from a school as well, so I support the demand that Oxnard adopt an ordinance that prohibits violent felons from operating these facilities. Of course, sometimes we need to go case by case, but having 2 little girls living with me and a teenager makes the situation, and a lot of kids in the same street as the sober living, makes this case also special. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pando. Okay, we will now go to the next item on the agenda, which is item G. This is the report of the city manager. City manager?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just two quick things. So first, I'm going to call Julie Estrada to the podium and draw your attention to the large piece of artwork that is here in the council chambers commemorating Martin Luther King, and she will describe the project.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and members of City Council. I am Julie Estrada. I am the Cultural Arts Programs Manager with Cultural and Community Services. I'm here today very excited to reintroduce our Martin Luther King mural here to City Council chambers. Quick, semi-quick history of this project. In 2024, Oxnard area youth participated in the second annual MLK Community Weekend, presented by the Gathering for Justice and held at the Oxnard PAL Gymnasium. This event is dedicated to empowering youth and furthering the teachings of Dr. Martin Luther King. The Cultural Arts Division's programs are dedicated to the message that art is for everyone and has created avenues where young people can create art, especially murals, despite their perceived artistic ability. This can be seen just across the street with our mini murals program that is slowly, year after year, transforming our parking structure into a walkable piece of art. It is because of the work that the cultural arts staff was asked to design a visual representation of the 6 Kingian nonviolence principles in which the youth can actively participate in its creation. In 2024, over 125 youth participated in the creation of the mural that hangs in chambers today. The concept of the mural's design is displaying a visual echo of the 6 principles of nonviolence. The image of Dr. King during his famous I Have a Dream speech was incorporated into the mural, and we replaced the image of his suit with clothing compiled of various designs representing many cultures, showing that Dr. King's message of peace is for everyone. Some of the cultures represented in the designs of the coat include Native American, African, and Asian. We were once again asked to participate in the 2025 community weekend held on January 11th and 12th, a couple weekends ago, and are pleased to announce that the mural that was created this year, was selected to travel with the gathering to New York and will be hung in place of honor during their anniversary celebration. So they took a piece of Oxnard with them back home. I would like to recognize Diana Reyes, our recreation coordinator, who is responsible for the design not only of the mural hanging here, but of the mural that was chosen to travel to New York, as well as Peter Rosales, who helped lead the art project and is responsible for framing and hanging it in chambers here today. The Culture and Community Services Department is excited to be able to contribute to the celebration of Dr. King's legacy and present this mural on canvas once again to Oxnard City Council in celebration of Dr. King and displaying it throughout February honoring Black History Month. Most importantly, we are proud to showcase this work that has been created by the community for the community and show that art is not just for the few, but art is truly for everyone. Thank you for always supporting the Cultural Arts Division programs.
Thank you, Julie.
Thank you. And then one other quick announcement. Anyone who ever looks at the calendar, you might be reminded that in 8 days is Lunar New Year.
Yeah.
So first of all, there are nearly 2 billion people around the world that celebrate Lunar New Year. It's most popularly known as Chinese New Year, but I have to tell you, it's Vietnamese New Year. This year happens to be 2025, the year of the snake. Rather interesting timing for that to pop on the calendar. I think even Nostradamus would have looked at 2025 and went, I'm out of here. And something that's interesting that I read recently, it's like an ounce of positive progress perhaps, but the state of New York is actually having it as a day off of school. Which is I believe is the first time that's happened in this country, because it is of the various holidays for those parts of the world, it is the most important family holiday of the year. So it's nice that at least in New York they'll have it to be able to celebrate with their families on the actual day versus waiting for the nearest weekend. But 2025, year of the snake. If you don't know if that's your year or not, look it up in the Chinese horoscope. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, City Manager Nguyen. Okay, the next item on the agenda is item H. City Council Housing Authority Successor Agency Financing Authority Business Committee reports. At this time, a member of the legislative body may make a brief announcement or make a brief report on his or her activities. Further, members of the legislative body may request to schedule consideration of whether to place an item on a future agenda. The legislative body cannot enter into detailed discussion or take action on any item presented during this report. The member's report shall not exceed 3 minutes unless additional time is granted by the presiding officer. Do any council members have any announcements or anything to report? Councilmember Perez?
Thank you, Mayor. I first wanted to thank our fire chief for all of your work in addressing the fires in our community and all of the organizations who held distributions to support those impacted by our fires in the community. I look forward to receiving a briefing on disaster preparedness for our community in the areas should we anticipate flooding and things like that that come up. And so excited to get briefed on that. I had the opportunity to participate in yesterday's MLK third annual celebration, where I had the opportunity to march and also witness young people receiving awards throughout the community. I think it's just an example and a testament to all of the talent that we have in this community. And I also wanted to just thank Julie, Diana, and Peter for your work in the cultural arts, highlighting the principles of Kingian nonviolence. One of them that I often reflect on is principle number 6. So definitely wanted to highlight that in light of MLK's birthday and celebration yesterday. I also had the opportunity to attend neighborhood council meetings in District 6 in the month of January and really look forward to continuing the collaboration there and working together to address the needs in our community and to ensure that support is offered for our area. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Perez. Councilmember Starr?
Thank you.
Thank you.
So just first, I'd like to make a request for a proclamation on honoring Albert Duff Sr. that can be provided to his church in time for this Friday's celebration of life at Bethel AME Church. And my hope is that the mayor would be able to present that, or perhaps Councilman Perillo in his absence, because he knew him very well. And he spoke very highly of him at the last council meeting. Second, I do want to address the concerns about the convicted child killer that's operating a sober living facility out of a residence on Lombard Street. I'm going to read to you what the district attorney for Kern County said about this. She wrote, "What Lutz did to the vulnerable innocent victims is atrocious." District Attorney Cynthia Zimmer said in our news release, calling Lutz a violent murderer and a child abuser, noting Lutz's hearing was moved up by nearly 2 years after he was previously denied parole. Zimmer said she was astounded he was granted release. He and his girlfriend, the girl's biological mother, engaged in systematic physical abuse and torture, according to the release. They bound the girls with straps and forced them to lie in a bathtub of cold water while they sprayed water in their face, essentially waterboarding them, prosecutors said. The couple beat the girls with a wooden paddle, withheld food, and put hot sauce on their tongues, prosecutors said. The 4-year-old died from blunt force head trauma and other injuries. Her sister suffered large bruises to her face, forehead, and other areas. She was so emaciated, her chest and rib bones showed. Now, I just want to be crystal clear that I do understand that in this sober living facility that, addicts are considered handicapped under the law. So I would never advocate for banning sober living facilities, as that would be discriminatory. I do believe it would be worthwhile for our city attorney to explore developing a narrowly tailored ordinance that bans violent felons from operating group homes and sober living facilities, not just because it would make the neighborhood safer, but also because the people staying in these facilities are at the greatest risk of harm by living with a person with a violent history. I do request that the city attorney tells us at the next meeting when he believes that such an ordinance could be presented to the council for a first reading. Third, I would like to propose that the City Council conduct a workshop with Treasurer Molina to discuss what we need to do to restore his ability to perform the duties he is required to do under state law. The city lost its battle with legal battle with the treasurer, and the end game seems pretty obvious to me. The final ruling hasn't come out yet because there's some tweaking, but the big items, as I understand it, have been settled, and I don't think we should be denying the city its elected city treasurer just because we're quibbling over a few details. I want to move past this, and it just seems to me that I get where staff's coming from. They don't want to do this, and I'm just going to have to disagree with them. I believe that having an open dialogue as a council with the treasurer would help us develop a proposal for staff to implement, and I request that the mayor have this placed on the agenda for the next meeting. It does not require staff to make a presentation. It is simply an open workshop for us to have a conversation with Mr. Molina to find out what he needs in order to perform his duties, which the law says he must do. I'd like to thank the people at Evangelistic Center Church on Woolly Road for inviting me to participate in the ribbon cutting event this past Sunday for their remodeled church. I felt honored and blessed to be part of that. Following up on the vehicle versus bicycle fatality at First and Roosevelt, solutions being examined include reorienting stop signs, converting to an all-way stop, putting speed bumps on Roosevelt, and painting red curbs at the intersection to provide visibility. We will know better in early February upon the conclusion of the traffic engineering analysis, thanks to Michael Wolf, who is spearheading this. I met with Public Works Director Michael Wolf and Assistant Director of Public Works Tim Beeman on January 10th to receive a briefing on the aquifer storage and recovery well, including some figures on the projected cost per acre foot and how that compares to the various other sources of water. I was deeply appreciative for the presentation, and they were quite patient with me, not having an engineering background. One advantage we have in Oxnard, Mr. Mayor, is that we have access to groundwater that ranges from $480 to $1,660 per acre foot, depending on how much treatment is required, while the imported water is currently running about $1,980 per acre foot. So that's a good thing. But I guess my expectation is that the monthly bills that Simi Valley residents pay for water, and all their water is imported, would be significantly higher than Oxnard residents pay. So I'm not clear at this point why there's the differential. At some point in the future, I hope to get a better understanding of the differential in costs for the two agencies. I'd like to give a special thanks to Michael Wolf for information on the city's graffiti abatement efforts. I don't know if you know this, Mayor, but the city spent over $800,000 in the last fiscal year to address 30,000 incidents of graffiti throughout the city. Now, at less than $30 per incident, that seems like a judicious use of funds. These taggers are hoodlums, and their crimes deprive the residents of Oxnard alternative uses for these funds. I want to thank Alex Nguyen for compiling information that I had originally requested from Housing Director Emilio Ramirez regarding Gabriel's house on South Rose Avenue, namely the status of renewing an expired lease, which I understand is not being pursued by the city, the status of a small ADA grant that was used for architectural drawings, and the existence and status of a $1 million grant, which is not yet clear. I hope to obtain more clarity on that by the next council meeting. There seems to be a difference of opinion as to whether that grant exists or not. Once again, I want to compliment Kathleen Mallory of the Community Development Department, who kept me abreast of the progress on an itemization of catamis fees charged by the city and collected from the applicants. The report was prepared by Jeff Pengley. It was timely and quite thorough. Chief Financial Officer Javier I always pronounce this wrong, Chagoy Lazaro will be supplementing this with a ledger accounting for the funds that have been recorded to date. He promised me that information by January 24th. I also want to thank the CFO for providing references to requested documentation showing that nearly $1.5 million payments to Mercy House was indeed authorized by the City Council in 2022. That was a question that was brought up by the Treasurer. I really think having the information for that. I want to thank the Emergency Services Manager, Candy Campbell, for informing me on ways that the community can better help with addressing emergencies, and for Deputy City Manager Katie Casey for how those efforts are being better publicized. I think it would be worthwhile to invite the public to a meeting, holding it outside of a council meeting that would instruct people on how they can be better prepared for emergencies and perhaps even help prevent them altogether. I have noticed that we do have fields with overgrown dry vegetation. That's a fire waiting to happen. I was wondering what steps are taken to require that property owners better take care of their property so they do not become the source of fires. I had one Oxnard Shores resident write to me. He said, in light of the recent fires, he asked me if the city has enough water pressure, and hydrants for all the new construction. And he was also very concerned about the homeless who are starting fires and thinks we need to crack down on this, and I think he's right. I want to thank Special Districts Manager Anthony Miller, who's been addressing resident Jeff Hirschman's concerns about lighting not working on Ocotland Way. I expect that will be resolved soon. It sounds like he's got 1 out of the 3 lights resolved, and we're working the other 2. I want to thank Jeff Pengilly for providing me information on January 10th on standards on air quality testing as applied to the Teal Club specific plant project. I want to thank Tim Beeman for answering the question about how much it costs us each time to a drunk driver damages a fire hydrant. It costs upwards of $15K, by the way. I want to announce that tomorrow, January 22nd, East Village Neighborhood Council will be holding its annual meeting at the Rio Rosales Elementary School cafeteria. And I think that's enough for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Starr. Any other comments? Yes, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you to all the speakers who came out tonight and spoke on Zoom as well. I do want to echo what Councilwoman Perez has mentioned regarding our fire personnel. I just want to thank our chief and his team for stepping in for service to support our neighbors in LA County after the devastating fires that happened down there, and seeing the photos of whole neighborhoods just completely gone and folks who have lost everything. It's a very stark reminder that at any given moment, any of us can lose literally everything that we have, all of our possessions. And but not only that, I just want to recognize that our personnel who go down there, they don't only do fire suppression on the front line, but they also, Chief Hamilton and I'm sure others in his team have the training and skill sets to provide mental health support for the firefighters as well. And that's something that certainly is needed and is highly commendable. And I just thank him for his work and his team's work in supporting our neighbors, but also supporting each other, because I'm sure you can all imagine that that is a toll that is taken on our public safety officials. So thank you to all of them. Just real quick here, I have a couple neighborhood councils for District 2. I share the South Bank neighborhood with Councilmember Perello. They'll be meeting next week, the 29th at 6:30 p.m. at Rio Del Norte School. The Carriage Square neighborhood will be meeting February 6th at 7 p.m. at Curran School. River Park will be meeting February 12th at 6 p.m. at Rio Vista. And then I was fortunate to be able to attend the grand opening for the Tap House Wagon Wheel Brewing Company in Wagon Wheel, and the mayor had attended as well. And it was great to be there for the ribbon cutting, and the West Ventura County Business Alliance and others were there to help with the coordination of that, and just welcome them back into the community and wishing them luck in their business. I also attended, as did the mayor, the retirement for Mr. Datcher, who completed 50 years of service as a teacher at Oxnard High School, 50 years as a teacher. And it was a very, very poignant recognition, and there's a lot of celebration, and it was great to see folks who came out and just shared their memories and their congratulations to Mr. Datcher. And it sounds like he had great taste in cars and fashion and hairstyles as the decades had gone on there. So congratulations to him. And then this past Saturday, I participated in a graffiti cleanup between the South Bank and Wagon Wheel neighborhoods. I want to thank the County Public Works Department, as well as Supervisor Kelly Long's office. Her staff did a great job in coordinating that to go into the El Rio drain, where there's a regular occurrence of graffiti, and we cleaned it all up with the paint that they had, and I just appreciate their coordinating that and making that opportunity open to the public. They offer it regularly, so we can stay tuned for additional opportunities in the future. And last two items here, Mayor. I also attended, as did my colleagues here, the Martin Luther King Jr. Celebration yesterday, the march in the morning, and then the programming at the PAC, which was amazing. They had a great keynote speaker, some amazing singers. I recognized two of the folks in the choir as former Ventura Unified School District employees, long-term folks who are very embedded in the community, Ms. Bobby Richards and Mr. Joe Richards, and I had no idea that they could sing like that. And so just the connections you make at these things, it was great. And the last thing, if the city clerk would be willing to just carefully help with the sheet that we have here, just very carefully, Lily, as I mentioned, those things are heavy and I don't want them to fall. So I'm going to request an agenda item, or for our city staff to look into the potential for how we can better regulate or look at what other jurisdictions have done to regulate nitrous oxide. These are containers that I didn't purchase any of these. I have found every single one in an alley or on the street. Nitrous oxide is used as an inhalant when it's used recreationally. It essentially removes oxygen or replaces oxygen from the brain. It gives the person a euphoric high for a very short period of time. It has documented negative health effects on the individual who uses them. It used to be more associated with a younger crowd, but as you can see, companies have found a way to monetize this in a larger form here. And we have shops that currently sell these in the city of Oxnard. I would like to look at what our ability is to better regulate that, if that is curtailing access, such as someone with a tobacco retail license and saying these are products that are not allowed to be sold if you intend to maintain this license, or what our options may be. That fire extinguisher there is not there in case anybody's pants catch on fire tonight. That fire extinguisher is there for reference. That is a 14-inch tall, 3-pound fire extinguisher to show you the size of these containers. And these are all empty, but when they are full with nitrous oxide, these are used for people to get high, and they will use them until they're used up. And then I guess some folks just throw them onto the street. So I'm hoping that this is something we can look at to see what our options are as a city to better regulate this and curtail access. Those are my comments. Thank you, Mayor. And thank you, Madam Clerk, for your help with that.
Yeah. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Any other council member? Yes, Councilwoman Pessoa.
Thank you. I'm wearing my mask because I'm a little bit under the weather with the cough. Last year sometime, late last year, I received a email from a teacher at Terra Vista Elementary, which is in my district, District 5, Ocean View School District, requesting if I knew of anybody that could fund 2 school buses for 4 classrooms to go to the Science Museum of Santa Barbara. I was able to get 2 donors to donate that money, and we presented a check to them last week. I did not realize that, these buses, when kids take field trip, it's up to the PTA to be able to fund these field trips. So they would not be able to do that without the generous donation that they received. So they had a wonderful assembly in order to get, thank the donors, and they were very, very welcoming. So it was just very humbling to be able to go into our local schools and understand the need, not only, citywide, but also in the schools. So I was really happy to be able to do that for them. I also received a call from a few members that were very, very upset that the bronze statues on Statham and the Clinicas, if you know where that's at, they were stolen. Thank you to our police chief. He gave me an update right away. The investigation is still ongoing, so I just want to make sure that our community knows that our police department is on it. And I want to thank them. I want to thank especially the chief. He responded to my emails fairly quickly. That's all I have.
Thank you, Councilwoman Basua. Any other council member? Yes, Councilmember Parlo.
Thank you very much. That's a terrific thing you were able to do, Councilmember Basua, getting those kids an experience like that. I'd like to address a few things here. The opportunity for the residents in River Park, there's a CFD District 5 Community Budget Meeting taking place Friday, January 24th at the Rio Vista Middle School, 5:30 to 7 o'clock. It's an opportunity to find some information about something that was a very hot item not that long ago. The LMD Community Budget Open House will take place Tuesday, January 28th, at the Oxnard Main Library from 6 to 8 p.m. This is the City of Oxnard Special District staff to learn more about your landscape maintenance districts and the budgets. The Channel Islands Neighborhood Council meeting will have their meeting on January 23rd, 6 to 8 p.m. at the Pacific Corinthian Yacht Club. And so that you understand, that neighborhood council rents the building. It's not a freebie. There's an opportunity to get a lot of information at these events. They're open to the public, and I'd recommend that if you have an opportunity, go. This is one of the best run neighborhood councils in the city of Oxnard at this time. The other thing is, there is going to be construction on Ventura Road, starting with the blade that will be used to prevent flooding in the north end of Oxnard. Over 10 years ago, it was identified that over 6,000 homes were going to go into a flood zone. There is a blade in construction that will be going. Ventura Road will be closed. This is a County of Ventura project. The project street closures will be identified with digital signboards 3 weeks in advance of any closures. Again, this is a county project. There will be more information coming out. And I appreciate I appreciate this update that I got from the City Public Works and Development Services today on this matter. We do also have a neighborhood council meeting, Kamala, on February 10th, and I didn't know if anybody was going to address that. I did have the opportunity to attend the Plaza Park event for Martin Luther King. It was very nice. I also had the opportunity to listen to President Trump's speech, and enough was enough on that. But I want to share something because we've had some comments tonight about a very, very sensitive issue. I'll take two different tacks on it. One going back several years in my life. Being involved in the South Bank Neighborhood Council a long time ago, there was a complaint made by residents about a sexual harassment predator in the Wagon Wheel area before Wagon Wheel was redeveloped. And it turned out that it was facts, but it was also a legal site where this could be housed. There was also another event which some of the people have left here tonight, which I'm very sorry for that. I hope they listen to this. In the South Bank neighborhood across the street from the Rio del Norte school, an individual put up a 4x8 plywood signboard saying a sexual predator lives next door with an arrow. It turned out that wasn't 100% truthful. And being involved in the neighborhood council, it became a very hot issue when the residents that lived around that neighborhood were hearing stories that residents wanted to burn his house down. The Oxnard Police Department got involved and helped, and the issue was resolved. But sometimes stirring up the passions of the public can get way out of hand, and it turned out the arrow was pointing at the wrong house. So facts and evidence matter. Now, along with that, as a representative for the city of Oxnard, I attend the Ventura Council of Governments meeting. They had one January 9th. On January 9th, they had two great presentations, and at the Martin Luther event, I did thank the district attorney for the district attorney that made a presentation on gun violence restraining orders. But there was also and her name was Rico Kelly, deputy district attorney. The second presentation was from Amy Betcher-Doscher, I believe is the name, an MD, and it had to do with sexual assault nurse examiner program for Ventura County. This gets kind of touchy, but this is very important because they also explained Sexual assaults don't just happen to females. They have multiple sexual assaults on males in this county. This is an issue that's bothered me for a long time with respect to getting straight answers. And I was able to ask some questions. I know that at one time we had sexual assault, commonly called rape kits, that had been non-tested. So I asked the question. And the answer I got was, we've tested 415 of these kits and got 43 matches to serial rapists. But she didn't answer the question that was asked. How many rape kits are still to be tested? Now, I'm hoping when this number comes out, it can generate something from the council to maybe ask the district attorney's office if they can expedite this. Because it turns out 2,846 rape kits over a period of unknown time have yet to be tested, and they're in the custody to be tested. My point is, if you divide that by 365 days a year, that's only 8 per day tested. How long do the people that have been assaulted have to wait to get an answer to these kits? And I do not fault anybody specifically, but I do fault that we don't get that information out more frequently. That's important. People that have gone through this, gone through the trauma of going through an examination, and then possibly waiting for potentially years before there's a test, and then being required to go to court and go through the whole thing because someone or some agency has waited too long to test them, is unconscionable. Those are my comments. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilmember Perillo. Thank you, Councilmember Perillo. Any other comments from any other Councilmember Rodriguez?
No, I mean, I just want to, again, reiterate what Councilmember Perez and Mayor Pro Tem Teran have shared about our fire and just being on call, especially after the Palisades fires and everybody being up in arms over the last week. I just want to remind the folks about the survey for emergency preparedness that I mentioned at the last City Council meeting. Please go on our website, help us get the word out. I know that we were 400 surveys short of our goal of 1,200 residents sharing feedback just as a baseline to see where we are and how we could do better as a city for just educating our community of like what are the top 3 steps you would take in case of a natural disaster or an emergency. So I do believe we're expecting some harsh rains. Hopefully things are not too damaging and that we're fine. But just as a reminder, surveymonkey.com/r/OFD as in Oxnard Fire Department. So any support that we can get. Also, I wanted to just share that at least for District 4, there are some openings in some of our citizen advisory groups. So specifically, I'm looking to identify folks for the Senior Services Commission. So of course, any commission and any opportunity for citizens to get involved. I love the participation that I see here in the audience, and I think this is the next step for many folks who want to get involved. So that's an invitation, and come and connect with me. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Rodriguez. Yes, Councilmember. No problem. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. The fire that recently was in the riverbed, Oxnard Fire backed up, but I want to thank the Ventura County Fire Department. They were the instrumental ones, helicopters, everything else. Thank them very much. But with respect to the fires, on January 29th at 6:30 at the Hollywood Beach Elementary School, there's going to be a District 1 Town Hall meeting for the neighborhoods in District 1, Cabrillo, Channel Islands, Oxnard Dunes, Oxnard Shores, River Ridge, Sea Air, Sea View Estates, South Bank, Via Marina, Victoria Estates, and Windsor North. There is an update in the California Fire Hazard Severity Map, and I think with the discussions that some people have had, this is something that you should not miss. It's open to the public. Again, January 29th, 6:30, Hollywood Beach Elementary School, which is in Sunset Lane. Thank you. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you, Councilmember Perillo. Just lest if no one else has a comment, I just want to end with something really positive too on just my involvement this last couple of weeks. First of all, I'm very appreciative to the police chief and the fire chief for sending out notifications to all members of council here when something significant occurs in our city. Just so you know, the fire chief and the police chief make us aware when there is a traffic collision, like a fatality, as Mayor Pro Tem mentioned, and also the fires that the fire department handled. And that timely notification to us allows us to then have some narrative to provide to our constituents who oftentimes call upon us wondering what's occurring in said intersection. So very appreciative for those notifications to both of you chiefs. Thank you for that. And also just, I know that Lorenzo, who's still here, talked about making downtown vibrant. Angela Wycombe mentioned that as well as Ozzy. I had the opportunity to go to the Levy House where they're filming a movie and just seeing the activity that's happening there, buzzing with cars, people, and showcasing our city. So that's something positive that I'd like to see personally more of. I was able to go to a restaurant that opened up, Portola's over at Seabridge. And it's nice to see new restaurants, people investing in our city, much like the tap room with the owners there that invest in our city and see a future, not only for income, but also providing valuable services to our city, employment, and making our city just that much more vibrant, much like Lorenzo mentioned he wants to see. We all want to see downtown. We all want to see for our city. So that's an indication of that. And we are just such a nice, tight community. Even though we're big in size, we're really a big city. I think the biggest city between Los Angeles and Fresno. But to see that we hosted the MLK March here and to see the diversity within the crowd and how we truly value the character of one another and what's in our hearts and wanting to uplift our community and just having just outright respect for one another is really neat to see here in our city, be reminded of just the great thing that this city offers and the great people that live in and work in this city. And then lastly, too, the send-off for Mr. Datcher, who I know you know him, Ms. Saldana, who did 50 years, incredible. And one of the things that stood out about him is when he said that oftentimes when he's asked why he remained in that job for so long, he mentioned that when someone is put there for a purpose, it is quite difficult to leave. So I know many of us that are in public service really understand that message. So thank you to Mr. Datcher and everyone who's just contributed to making our city that much more vibrant. So if there's no more comments by any council members or councilwomen here, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda. And that is the review of information consent. The members of the legislative body will consider whether to remove information consent agenda items for discussion later during this meeting. Do any council members have any consent items they wish to discuss at this time?
I just want to make a general comment. I was really happy with the set, and I don't actually have any questions on these.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Starr. Yes, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have one for item K3 on the consent calendar.
Okay. Public comments also on information consent agenda items, but this time a person may address the legislative body only on matters appearing on the information consent agenda. The presiding officer shall limit public comments to 3 minutes, and we have Pat Brown. Ms. Brown.
I had two comments to make in this same section, so I'm putting them together as one. The city park restrooms that are going to be rebuilt or whatever, fixed up. Sometimes it's going to make a difference on where they are as to how often they need work done on them. Like, for instance, if we had one where we don't have one when we really should have one, is right in the downtown area. We do need one for there. We've needed it for years, and everybody agrees, yes, we need it, but nothing ever gets done. So I hope that sometime in the future that will be added onto the list that's already there. One of the problems with that is all the homeless people. And, well, would it be better that they go in and use a restroom rather than to just go out and do it in somebody's flower garden? I think the restroom would be far better. Just my personal opinion. The other item that I had in mind was the playground replacement project. I went on a tour of all the parks, playgrounds, and I had no idea that we had this many in this city. They just go right along with all the developments, housing developments, and then you got one. At least that's what it appears to be. But I live in a mobile home park just on the other side of Oxnard Boulevard, and which was built back in the 1980s for seniors, for old people. And you had to be at least 55 to live there. Well, when my husband and I decided to move out here from Woodland Hills to cool off a bit, the smartest idea we ever had. We should have learned that 20 years earlier, but we didn't until then. So anyway, we noticed that there wasn't very many places where a couple could go to live in a mobile home park unless they were seniors. Well, this park ended up getting bought out by another park owner, and then what he did was, right off the bat, it was families, okay? So I understand, and this has been years ago.
Thank you, Ms.
So
Brown.
I
I'm sorry
understand
we're out of
what we're
time.
dealing with here, and if you ever want to have a talk with me, just give me a buzz and I will fill you in on every nook and cranny of everything around here that I keep my mouth shut about, even if I
Appreciate it.
have
Thanks,
an opinion on.
Thanks, Ms.
Thank
Brown.
you.
We're out of time. I'm sorry. Thank you. And, well, we're just, there's 4 items on the information consent agenda. Mayor Pro Tem, did you have a question or clarification? you
Yes,
needed
I
on any one of
apologize. I
them?
had K2 and K3.
Okay.
So K2 is our financial corrective action plan.
Okay.
If we can do that one first.
Sure, we'll do, any questions on item 1 is just the approval of the minutes? Okay, then, we'll go to K2. This is from the Finance Department, update on the Financial Corrective Action Plan, FCAP, for closing past audit findings. The recommendation from staff is that the City Council receive and file the update on the Financial Corrective Action Plan, FCAP, for closing past audit findings. Here we have Javier Lozado. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Lozado. Go ahead, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you very much for all the staff's work on this. It's a little overlapping for me because it came to finance and governance, and then I kind of have been trying to get my mindset into Public Works Committee. But I realized, this is coming to us from the December 10th meeting, and I'm just wondering if staff would be willing to take an opportunity to give us a very brief overview of the Financial Corrective Action Plan and the improvements the city has made and where we stand today.
Thank you for the question, and we have a Jennifer Yaroka, who's our internal control manager, who can provide that. Thank you.
The Financial Corrective Action Plan originated back when, I'm short, sorry. Originated back in the fiscal years 2013, 2014. That's when we had the unprecedented 111 audit findings. I wasn't here then, but I've read a lot about it. And those findings continued to grow over the next consecutive audits that happened, the next consecutive fiscal years. Then in 2018, the city put together a financial corrective action plan that went to the state controller's office for review and approval. Our auditors, Eating and Payne, then went through in every audit that they did with us. They made sure that we were making progress on that financial corrective action plan. And then our progress was presented to the Finance and Governance Committee as well as City Council twice per year. And so fast forward to fiscal year 2024, and the city now has one remaining corrective action item. So that is the history.
Great, thank you very much. And I know we have some new council members and the new mayor. I'm not sure what their level of diving into this has been. At minimum, the December 10th meeting is on the public record and you can review, and there was some extended discussion on it as well as the attachments for this agenda item. But I just appreciate staff's update on that because there are still folks out in the community, I believe, who point to, well, you know, didn't the city have over 100 audit findings recently? And I say, well, recently as in the 2013, 2014 timeframe. I mean, that's like recently I got married in 2006. So I appreciate that being put on the public record again every chance we get, so folks know that if it was admittedly an unprecedented mark on the city to have that many audit findings from a fiscal point of view, I hope that the inverse is also true, where it should be recognized that there's an unprecedented improvement that's happened for a city in the amount of time that we've had. And it's just worth noting for the public that the audit findings from then have been corrected. We have internal controls to manage that, and we have finance staff who are ensuring that we are working above board and adhering to all regulations that are required of that, as well as external auditors to ensure that that's occurring. So those are just my comments, and I appreciate staff's time on that. So that's it for that item, Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Lázaro. Yes, Councilman Perrello.
Thank you. We still have one audit finding. As I recall, there was one audit finding, and it's kind of peculiar that we don't really talk about it. Can you share what the one audit finding is? And I know that there's an issue, and it has to do with confidentiality, and because some might think, possibly new in the council, we're trying to hide something. We're not. Can someone explain when somebody watching at home is going, well, why don't they get the last one knocked out?
Very briefly, and I believe that City Council is informed at closed session about the progress that has been made in this item, because it's a sensitive issue, as you mentioned. It's related to cybersecurity and the treatment of information in-house. So that's all I'm going to be saying.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate that. And I'd like to piggyback on what Mayor Pro Tem Teran said. I got on this council in 2013, and Mr. Nyhoff came on board shortly after that, and he initiated the things with the audits, and a lot of stuff came to the head. And until Mr. Nguyen got here, the resolution was not as active as it had been. But there's been a combination of multiple city managers, lots of staff, and it's been a tremendous accomplishment. And I believe that if someone were to question that, they need to look at one thing. The bond rating, the ratings companies would not be continually upgrading the quality of work that we have, the situation, the financial standing of the city, if we were not getting the ship going down the road the way it's supposed to be going down. No funny games, no hanky-panky. That's the last comment. Thank you very much. Thank you for the work you guys are doing in your department.
Thank you, Councilmember Perrello. Thank you. Any other comments, Councilmember?
Yeah, I just wanted to also thank you as well and highlight just for the public record that the results have indicated no new findings for 2 consecutive years, and just wanted to applaud your department for that.
Councilmember Rodriguez?
No, if there's no comments from any other council member, I would like to move to approve the consent agenda item. Oh, you have 3?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll take K3. Mayor Pro Tem has a question. This is regarding Public Works. The subject public project agreement with James Brothers Construction for the citywide playground replacement project, including Carty Park specification. The recommendation that the City Council approve and authorize. Number 1, a total of $203,063.30 in project funds for the citywide playground replacement project, Carty Park specification. That the mayor execute an agreement with James Brothers Construction in the amount of $169,219.30 and a project contingency amount of $16,922 for a total not to exceed the value of $186,141.30 for the project. And number 3, our project allocation amount of $16,922 for engineering, inspection, survey, and project management for the project. Mayor Pro Tem, go ahead with your question.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, and thank you for reading the recommendation as well, so it's on the record. Thank you, Mr. Wolf. Similar to the last time we had a playground item, I just wanted it to be stated for the public. Just if we can get a brief overview of this, is we have Carty Park in front of us and we have playground. Can we share just a little bit about what can be expected in this scope of work? Will we get like a rubberized compound surface, inclusive functions or inclusive amenities in the playground? Just a brief overview if we have that.
Yeah, I'll just talk some generalities actually before I start. Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, Council members, Michael Wolf, Director of Public Works.
Good evening.
So generalities, we are working through a lot of playground replacement projects. If you notice, one of the attachments to our staff report talks about all the projects, specifically playground projects that we are actively working on. And I'll bring up, probably Steve, are you probably best to describe the different scopes of work that we're going to be doing for this project. I think it's really just a playground replacement, but Steve can talk specifically about the project. But we are doing playground replacement specifically. Some places, in some areas, we are doing fall protection work. Some places we are doing ADA improvements where necessary. Some park projects or playground projects we are doing. We are taking some concrete out where we have to have different fall protection areas that are required to have. My understanding for this project, and Steve can elaborate, this is just this will be a specific playground replacement project. I don't believe we have any surface replacement for this project, but again, if you're looking for a lot more details, either Steve or Morgan can provide that. But this is just a playground replacement project per the scope.
Okay, I just was looking for an overview on that so folks can know if they visit Carty Park or live in the area, what they can expect to see. And I know there's a general timeline attached to the staff report regarding just, it would start in early 2025. I don't know if Mr. Howlett or you, Mr. Wolf, might know a little bit more precisely on that, or if it's still in process.
So until we have the contractor's schedule, in our contract, we give them a specific number of working days. This will be 90 working days that they have. But until we have their schedule, we don't like putting out any specifics because it's obviously subject to availability of materials. But once we get that schedule, we'll work with the project manager. We'll put out notifications. Typically, we put out flyers. We can do it via social media. If there's an active neighborhood council, we will provide that information via neighborhood council. But until we get a schedule from the contractor, providing specific information is not something we would do right now because it could change.
Okay, I appreciate that. And I'll just say thank you for all your work, Mr. Howlett, and you, Mr. Wolf, and your team. Just another playground that's getting some much needed love. And so I just really appreciate your work on it. Those are my questions and comments. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Councilmember Perlow?
Yes, Public Works Director Wolf, just one question. I appreciate the work that you guys do and the ability of your organization, our organization, to let the neighborhood councils know. But in this particular case, if a neighborhood council is not having a meeting for several months, how do we let that neighborhood council know? Do we put any signage in the park or anything for residents to find out? Because some neighborhood councils, even when they have a website, they're not sharing information as well as they could be, in my opinion.
Well, the information that we typically do is you'll see construction fencing go up. That's very apparent.
Well, that's what generates usually a phone call is what's
Correct.
going on.
Right. I mean, obviously, we're trying to get the information out as best as possible. But we don't typically put up what I think your question is more about when we do like roadway projects, we put up changeable message signs, things like that. That's not typical that we do those in park projects, right? But in the past, we are able to typically put that out via social media or via the neighborhood council. If they don't have a meeting, we certainly can reach out to our council members and give that information via that process.
Thank you very much.
Yes, Councilman Perez.
Yes, first of all, I just wanted to say that this is exciting, that this project is coming. Carty Park happens to be in District 6, and I know that there's many athletic teams that participate in that area where children are able to benefit from this replacement. And I'd be happy to help spread awareness in the community around this upcoming project. So just wanted to share that with you.
Thank you.
It's wonderful, yeah. Oh, yes, absolutely, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you for giving me just another quick
Sure.
minute here. It comes to memory that I believe it was Marina West Park where the fencing was around the playground for a little bit more time than the playground was removed. And perhaps even before the fencing goes up, maybe signage could be put similar to what we did at that park, that, you know, this playground is slated to be replaced soon, and just so folks are aware of it. So just a thought.
We did and thank you for that. The uniqueness there was that fencing was up for a very long time. And in order for us to provide the information of why we were going to demolish that playground in advance of actually having a contractor start work, we wanted to make sure people weren't thinking that we were just taking the playground away. So I would say that would not be the normal process and not be the normal timeline. So therefore, we did a little bit different in terms of providing that information. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions on item K3 or item K4? If not, Councilwoman Rodriguez made a motion to approve the agenda. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. We got two. We got a second for both Councilwoman Perez and Mayor Pro Tem. I think Councilwoman Perez spoke first, Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Perallo? Yes. Councilwoman Perez?
Yes.
Councilwoman Rodriguez?
Aye.
Councilman Starr?
Yes.
Councilwoman Basua?
Aye.
Mayor MacArthur?
Yes,
The motion carries 7-0.
thank you. So we'll move on to yes, Mayor Pro Tem.
Forgive me, I don't know if this is my own personal limitations, but did I get called to vote on that item?
I'm sorry, Mayor Pro Tem Teran.
Yes.
Now the motion carries 7-0. Thank you for that.
My apologies.
catch.
I thought I missed it, or maybe I answered and I didn't even think about it.
Okay, we'll go to, it's item L1, the Housing Department. Subject second substantial amendment to 2023-24 Annual Action Plan. The recommendation is that City Council conduct a public hearing and receive comments related to the substantial amendment to fiscal year 2023-2024 Annual Action Plan. Number two, approve a substantial amendment to the 2023-24 Annual Action Plan, reallocating Community Development Block Grant and Home Investment Partnership Program funds. Number three, authorize the city manager and his designees to execute the required applications, certifications, and other pertinent documents for the submission of the amendment to the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development. And four, authorize the city manager and his designees to execute the appropriate agreements with subrecipients and to adjust any of the funding activities not to exceed 10% if the programs require more or less funding to meet their objectives. And number five, authorize the city manager and his designees to appropriate and recognize grant revenue for Home Investment Partnership Program Fund 202 and Community Development Block Grant Fund 201 funds to the proposed activities identified in this staff report. We start with the city clerk's certification and publication and written communications, if any. Madam City Clerk?
Thank you, Mayor. There was a legal notice for this public hearing published in Be the Newspaper on December 19th. The city clerk's office has received no written communications on this item.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Do any council members have any ex parte communications or other disclosure regarding this matter to state for the record? Okay. Members of the public were invited to sign up to speak on this item on the city's website, and a person who did not sign up may do so now. by submitting a speaker card or following the instructions posted on the agenda for this meeting and at the city's website. Assistant Housing Director Albert Ramirez posted a video presentation regarding this item, and it is available to answer any brief clarifying questions council members may have before we take public testimony on this item. The council will deliberate after the public hearing has been closed. Do any council members have any questions at this time? Yes, Councilmember Starr.
So regarding the HUD determination to deny us reimbursement, I'm trying to understand, how did that come about and how do we prevent that from happening in the future?
Greetings, Mayor, members of the City Council, Brenda Lopez. I'm currently serving as the interim housing director for the Housing Department. I believe you're asking the question about the 1.5 times expenditure requirement.
So there was a portion here where basically HUD said that we're trying to get a waiver here.
Understood. So the waiver that we're referring to is usually the expenditure period is from fiscal year. So in our case, July 1st to June 30th of each year. Whenever we approve a project, the understanding is that the eligible expenses will be incurred in that fiscal year. So specific to the projects that we're presenting before you this evening, we assumed that the expenditure period would be back to July of 2024. HUD clarified that the expenditure period needs to be going forward as of our presentation before council. So in this case, eligible expenses for these projects need to occur after today, assuming that we get approval. Based on that information, we did go back to the Department of Housing and Urban Development. That's what we mean when we say HUD. We did ask for a waiver. There is a waiver in place that basically states as long as it's an eligible expense and it is in the allocation period, they will consider an exception to allow for us to fund an activity that has expenses in that eligible timeframe. As of now, though, we have not received approval on that waiver.
So I guess, do we just have a new understanding of what the rules are? It's just that maybe in the past we were thinking the rules were different and we got educated that it was actually what it is now and that's what's going on?
Correct. So usually, typically, you can go, again, because the fiscal period runs from July 1st to June 30th, the assumption is that your expenses could be from that time frame. However, in this case, we're proposing reallocation of funds. So it's a new activity, if you will, in this action plan. Therefore, HUD is coming back and clarifying that we would not be able to go retro to an eligible time frame. So yes, to your point, we were not aware of that information. They've clarified it, but they did offer a waiver pending approval.
So would it be fair to say that if HUD hadn't informed us of this, we would think that we're on target and we would make the spending necessary on time?
Correct. That was the assumption, and that's how we made the recommendations in the December committee meeting.
So assuming that HUD doesn't give us this waiver, how much in project costs roughly were incurred before today that wouldn't be eligible for reimbursement?
So basically what happened on the December 10th, just very high level to give you some context, we came and we recommended that we allocated funds to the Casa Aliento and the Dolores Huerta project. At that time, the recommendation was for Dolores Huerta to be funded for up to, or an amount of $883,749, Casa Aliento $539,000, with the understanding that we could go back to July 1st expenditure date. Based on this clarification received, we did put the language in this staff report indicating that we are recommending a provision in the event that HUD does not approve the waiver for us to be able to then bring down the funding, if you will, for Dolores Huerta to $268,074, and also then to increase the Casa Aliento allocation to $792,999.
Right.
And yes, there would be a little bit of difference remaining where we might be able to fund another project.
I guess I'm still not clear because my question was the project costs that were incurred before today are I mean, I assume right now that's coming out of the general fund, it's not being reimbursed. Do I have a complete misunderstanding here?
No, so this is not coming from the general fund, this is from the community development.
So anything
Right.
after today, but I'm saying anything happened before today, where does that money get spent from?
Where does it-
Assuming we don't have the waiver.
Right, so assuming you don't have the waiver, then we're gonna give the majority of the funds to the Casa Aliento project. And
Councilman Starr, if I can try to clarify, it's a private development, and so we're providing gap financing. So they have a development budget that is completely outside of the city.
Okay.
Construction costs have gone up, the project's gone on for a while. They came to the city, said, hey, we have a gap. And we said, okay, we have CDBG funding, this works. Assuming that we could go from July 1 till our normal expenses, they gave us that gap financing of the 800 number. But considering we can only go from tonight forward, it's the 268 number would all that be left because they're almost done with construction.
Okay. When do you think we should expect a response from HUD on the waiver application? And would it be possible for us to see a copy of the request?
yes, we can provide a copy of the request, and as far as a response, we're estimating any minute now, within a week or two at the most, but it's hard to tell because we are basically waiting for that exception from them.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Starr. Thank you, Ms. Lopez. Any other questions for Ms. Lopez? Yes, Councilman Perlo.
Thank you. I appreciate this, but the following along with Mr. Starr, is there any way for the city of Oxnard to put leverage on HUD? It seems like we're kind of like pulling the tail of the pretty big dragon, if we were to try that. But is there any way for us to put leverage on it?
May I answer that? No.
Sure.
It's HUD.
The answer is no. Okay, all right. And you're speaking with experience, you know what you're
I'm
talking
speaking
about.
with experience, so
Okay.
staff's recommendation is a good one.
So the other, I appreciate the questions back and forth that we've had on this item. The other questions I have is how do we make sure that any residents that come into these projects or whatever we're doing, that there's no problems with HUD, that the people that are there are not qualified to be there, which could possibly jeopardize our housing authority, the city, or something else where something was wrong, that was missed? How do we check that stuff?
So bringing it specifically to Casa Aliento and Dolores Huerta, which is where we're recommending the allocation of funds. For both projects, the priority list, which your priority list is kind of your waiting list of applicants that will be matched to a unit. Both projects have what we call project-based vouchers, which are awarded by the Housing Authority. These vouchers require a waiting list that is prioritized and has some eligibility requirements. So in this case, we've actually partnered with the Continuum Care of Ventura County. They are the lead agency that is doing the prioritization, eligibility, verification of the component of homelessness, where there is one, disability, where there is one, veterans, and then obviously farm workers applies to Dolores Huerta. Not only do they vet the eligibility, but then when a referral comes to the Housing Authority, we also need to verify eligibility. And this is done via income and asset documentation that the applicants provide. We then refer the applicant over to the project. Project also has a responsibility to verify eligibility, both asset and income. So applicants do go through about 2 to 3 eligibility verifications before they're matched to a unit. Both projects do have an on-site project manager or a unit that is going to be designated for a property manager who will then be on site. Obviously, part of their responsibility is to verify there's no unauthorized residents. So eligibility, basically 3 reviews. Unauthorized residents, the property manager will be responsible for monitoring that.
Thank you, and I appreciate your detailed response. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lopez. And for some of our viewers that may not know, Councilwoman Basua intimately knows because she is the housing director for the Port Hueneme site. So we have that luxury, having that level of expertise here on our council. Thank you, Ms. Lopez. Yes, Mayor Pro Tem, absolutely.
Thank you. And thank you very much for the information that was brought forward. One thing that just occurred to me as we're having these conversations, there's two layers here. One, as I mention often, because we cannot do a live presentation here for the public who didn't have time in their own time to watch us ahead of the meeting, because Measure M requires that be created and then we not reenact it live. Would you mind just, we already talked about some of the details, would you mind just sharing for the benefit of the public a little about these developments at the Dolores Huerta apartments and then the Casa Aliento, what those are and where they're located?
Sure. So the Dolores Huerta project is a 58 apartment complex project. There's a total of 58 units. One is designated again for a manager. And out of that, 42 units must be leased up to farm worker families, low to very low income. And then the other 15 units must be leased to a veteran or veteran eligible applicant. Out of the 15, 13 of the units have what we call a project-based voucher. That means that the assistance was awarded, committed by the Housing Authority, which also has its set of restrictions. And again, it has to be for eligible veterans. That project is completed around April is what my understanding is. April, May is when they're targeting the completion of the Dolores Huerta. For the Casa Aliento project, that one is in a two-phase stage. It's the former Vagabond Motel that is next to the Denny's restaurant. For that one, the first phase was already completed. It's a 70-unit apartment complex, 1 unit for a property manager. In that apartment complex, we awarded 40 project-based vouchers. Again, this is another set of restrictions for the developer or the property management team. Out of the 40 vouchers that we awarded, 21 must be for non-elderly disabled individuals who meet the definition of homelessness. The remaining 19 must meet the definition of homelessness. Again, the entire project is restricted to low to very low income applicants. In December, the first phase leased up, and I think they have a little bit under 40 units. There are still remaining, and the goal is to lease up those in the month of, I believe, February or March. At least those for 2. And then the Spire one, which again was separate, but that's with the home funding. Aspires has an 87 affordable housing project by Many Mansions, and that one is scheduled to start in 2025.
Great, thank you very much for that explanation.
Thank you,
those are my
Councilwoman
questions. Thank
Perez.
you.
I was just gonna say, if there's no other questions, I'd move to approve this
I think there's a,
recommendation.
I'll second that, but I have to do.
thank you, council members. We have one speaker so far on this item. Is that correct, Madam Clerk? Just one speaker?
No, Mayor. We actually received a written comment
I
from
apologize.
Larry Stein.
Let me read that. It's quite brief. Mr. Stein writes, based upon the announcements from the newly elected president, he seems intent to shut down the Department of Housing in efforts to reduce the federal budget. What are the city plans, in parentheses, Housing Department, to replace the current funds the city obtains from the federal government through HUD, including but not limited to Section 8 funding if HUD funding is significantly reduced?
So basically on these funds, the funding has already been awarded through fiscal year 2024-2025. So the funding's already there. With the changes in presidency, then what we would expect is more than likely reductions in funding, or possibly the funding goes away. However, if it does, then we would not come before the council for the next annual action plan proposing projects. So basically, we just would not have the funding to award new projects. Section 8 is a different program, but Section 8 works the same way. We get our allocation in advance, if you will, whenever there's a shortfall in funding. We just cannot admit new families to the program, and we must sustain our program. So we do have reserves to maintain Section 8. The difference is no new programs, new families admitted to that.
Thank you, Ms. Lopez. If there are no additional speakers, then we will close the public hearing. Oh, there's a speaker. Oh, I'm sorry, I missed it. Thank you.
Sorry, Mayor. Okay, so caller ending in 9665, please press *6 to unmute, state your name, and you have 3 minutes starting now.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and council members. This is Barbara Macri Ortiz.
I'm a little confused with what I heard because I had watched the staff report and the committee, and I don't know if it's changed since then, but the issue was that I'm speaking to is the money that was CDBG allocated to the Dolores Huerta project for infrastructure. And this has been a real struggle and battle for us because we were supposed to get some money for safe routes to schools for the infrastructure. That didn't happen. We put in several CDBG requests for granting for the infrastructure. I sure as heck hope that we're going to be able to get that money to keep this project above water. It's very important and to get, very expensive to do housing. It's very, very hard. And we've been through some real troubling times, and I'm just glad that the housing department found money within the CDBG budget to assist this project. So I hope that's what will happen. I don't know what else to say on that other than, Cabrillo's been in this business for a long time, and they house people that they're supposed to house with these, and they've used their funds wisely. And with this one, I know we're going to several different rubrics in order to address the housing for the veteran disabled as well as the farm workers. And we're real excited. We're hoping that this will be ready, and as was said, April or May, and we hope to get Dolores Huerta down here for an opening. I just hope that we can get the money that was proposed. I think it was $880,000 or something like that to close the gap that was caused by a lot of delays over the course of the project. And this isn't money that the city just goes around and they have all these funds to provide, and the money has been coming out of the developer's pocket, and it's just getting tighter and tighter and tighter, primarily because we lost the infrastructure money that we were supposed to get from the city. So I hope you vote for this, and I hope it works out.
Thank you, Ms. Ortiz.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, bye.
Bye, Ms. Ortiz. Thank you for calling in. Madam Clerk, can we go to the next speaker?
Mayor, that actually concludes all of our speakers, both in person and virtually. We don't have any additional speakers that are signed up.
Thank you. If there are no additional speakers, then we will close the public hearing. The public hearing is closed. Does any council member wish to comment? Councilman Perrello?
Yes, I have three questions. Barbara McOrtiz is a longtime advocate for this. She's mentioning delays. Do we have any cause for the delays or any responsible parties for those delays that we can identify?
Let me find out which project she has.
So the project goes back, I think, to
Huerta. I apologize. So it sounds like they're asking for funding on the Dolores Huerta project?
That's what I heard, yeah.
That's what I'm hearing.
But she also addressed that they were caused by delays. I mean, is that the responsibility of the city or some other entity?
I think, council member, depending on who you ask, you're going to get multiple stories. The project has gone on for well over 10 years. The city has a hand in those reviews that come back and forth, permitting. A lot of it was related to funding, though. They had to, as she mentioned, the different layers of funding and the veterans, those funding times also come with delays. You wait to see if you get that and you move on. So I would say the city, yes, we were a partner in reviewing and projects. They modified the project many times.
The applicants,
the applicant
not
modified.
the city. Okay.
Correct. No, the city was a reviewer. We're not a party to the actual project. They've come to us for funding. There was infrastructure requirements. We were looking for a sidewalk to connect it to the school down in that area. they didn't have funding for that. That's what she's mentioning about some of the funding that they've requested in the past. But the project has gone on for a long time, which is not unique, and projects that layer that many different funding sources.
Thank you, Assistant City Manager. And the reason I ask, it's not really to point blame, but it's to shield ourselves when people start throwing blame at the city of Oxnard that we're the boulder in the road that they can't get around. The other two questions I have, with the facility near the Vagabond, you mentioned non-senior handicapped. Is there a limit of time that those people can stay there?
No.
Okay, the second question, with respect to the Dolores Huerta farm workers, if the people that are in the home change their trade, they get into construction, are they still able to stay there since it's farm worker housing?
My understanding is that they're going to be reviewed for eligibility on an annual basis. The housing vouchers that we're issuing do not have the farm worker restriction. If it did, though, we do require that they sustain the farm worker status. A person in the household maintains it.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the answers. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Ms. Lopez. Any other comments from any of the council members? If not, Councilwoman Perez moved to make a motion to approve the recommended actions. Councilmember Perello seconded. Call for a vote, Madam Clerk.
Councilwoman Bettis?
Yes.
Councilwoman Rodriguez?
Aye.
Councilman Starr?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Teran?
Yes.
Councilwoman Basua?
Aye.
Mayor MacArthur?
Yes.
Councilmember Perallo?
Yes.
And the motion carries 7-0.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. If there are no further business on the agenda and without objection, we are adjourned for this meeting. Thank you very much, everybody.